YouTube, what's going on? What the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Rome 2. And today we've got a fun matchup for you. This one is going to be Galatia taking on the Arverni, two factions who are really nice with heavy cavalry, good solid swords. So this ought to be a fun matchup because the two of these factions are both very capable of punching you in the face in melee. They are relatively straightforward factions in many ways, like the Arverni. To me, don't necessarily have a ton of flavor. I mean, they are just really good heavy swordsmen. That's what the Arverni do. And then they have very cost-effective, solid heavy horse, literally called heavy horse. So it does make them a really good faction in general because they are capable of protecting their units from cavalry. They are not great at skirmishing. If there is one clear weakness for the Arverni, that is it. However, the Celtic slingers that they have are cheap and provide an affordable option to counter. So the Galatians are going to come out here with some mercenary horse skirmishers. These guys deal massive damage with their javelins, though they are very weak in melee. We're going to see two of those rolling around. Let's go take a look at the composition of the Galatian army. Three Celtic slingers, so probably similar to the Arverni. There's a line of Levy Freemen behind that. Levy Freemen are terrible in melee, but they possess a couple of volleys of javelins that can do more damage than the unit's typically worth, so that's why you always see them. We're going to see some Galatian legionaries. It looks like two of those. So it looks like five in total on the Galatian legionaries in that line. And then let's take a look at the cavalry. We have mercenary Cappadocian cavalry. These guys are probably slightly better than the Arverni heavy horse. Very solid units here, but a lot of times the charge bonus on the barbarian cavalry is high. We'll take a look. We have some nearly naked swordsmen here. I'll zoom up so that you have to see the same hairy butt that I do. So there's the naked swords for you. These units, I believe, they do not have the scare, but they do have frenzy. So they're going to get extra charge damage and weapon damage. Basically, you can use them as shock infantry to cause extra damage. You do not want them getting directly charged, but they have a very large charge bonus. Apparently, when you come just wearing a loincloth into battle, you're rather crazy, and it shows in your charge statistics. We do have some noble horse here for Galatia. These are going to be very powerful melee cavalry who also possess a pretty strong charge bonus here. As you can see, they have really good attack, bonus versus large, charge bonus, solid defense, a very solid all-around heavy horse. So let's go back over and look at the rest of the Arverni army. Their middle line was chosen swordsmen. These are great mid-tier swords that provide a very stable base for the Arverni. I imagine we're going to be seeing some Oathsworn here. There is one. The general is another. So there are two Oathsworns. There are some Celtic warriors on the flank here. And then we saw the four heavy horse earlier. I would say that Galatia probably has the edge in terms of horses here, but let's look at the stats one more time. I think so. I think the Galatia has the horse advantage. Hard to say in terms of the melee advantage, but I would probably say the Arverni because of the two Oathsworn. So I would say the Arverni probably hold the sword advantage. And then as far as skirmishing goes, there was 3 slingers on the other side, and I see 4 on this side. So numbers would be in favor of the Arverni. Nice skirmishing here, throwing those javelins into the general's Oathsworn unit. Good way to do some extra damage here. If it turns its back, oh, it did. Oh yeah, okay, good. So the Oathsworn turned around immediately. If you see this happening, and you're the player, like the position these Oathsworn are in, you turn your back to a horse skirmisher. Do not let it chuck those javelins into your back. It will cause a lot of damage. You definitely want those shields up, blocking as much of that as you can. They are still taking a lot of hit point damage, and this sucks for the Arverni because that is one of their elite units, and it's very important to their chances of success in this battle. So those horse skirmishers are paying dividends right now in terms of being incredibly annoying. Yeah, so 3 slingers against 4. It means feasibly the Arverni could gain a missile advantage. Late into a game, the missiles could make a big difference if they're able to start chopping down key units slowly over time. However, if the Galatians can use their cavalry supremacy, what I consider cavalry supremacy, to get to those skirmishers, that would also shut that advantage down. So here comes the skirmishing. The chosen swords are actually going to be the recipients of some of this fire. And some of them have already taken some damage, so it's almost like Galatia's trying to chip away at the melee capability of Arverni here. And that is the weakness that I would see here, and that's not a bad plan. So the heavy horse are already charging forward, looking to do some disrupting. They better pull clear of that Levy Freeman. Oh, they do turn around, and I think they did it just in time. There comes the javelin volley that does catch one horse and turns it into a pincushion. but the rest of them managed to get free. A lot of fire coming in. It looks like the slingers of the Galatians are really focusing in on cavalry and infantry, and it looks like the slingers for the Arverni are focused in on the Celtic slingers. There's not a lot of quick damage being done on the Celtic slingers, so this is curious indeed. I thought I saw 4 slingers. I could have sworn there was 4 slingers. One of them may have gotten knocked out. Okay, there it is. Maybe it was hidden. Yeah, it was hidden for some reason. Interesting. Oh, it's a Gallic Hunter. That's why we couldn't see it. I thought it was a slinger. Now, the Gallic Hunter is a bow unit with decent range, and it has the stalk capability, too. So that's why we didn't see that Gallic Hunter. Cool that it got mixed in. Haven't seen one of those in a while. Alright, so the battle gets started. We're going to see some Cappadocian cavalry clashing with some mercenary chosen some chosen swordsmen there, not mercenaries. Comes the Celtic warriors, Galatian legionaries. Nice countercharge here into the Levy Freeman from the heavy horse. So Galatia and Arverni start trading blows up front. The Levy Freeman are, of course, probably looking to blunt those initial charges. So we'll see how these engagements go. Galatian legionaries are pretty solid units. They're probably slightly better than chosen swords. So far, I feel like Galatia is getting some nice engagements. Like, I don't see anything terribly concerning. Their skirmishing has been pretty effective, too. A lot of those naked swords getting killed by the slingers. I can't imagine taking a slinger hit to the exposed nether regions. I'm sure that would be unbearably painful. Nice rear charge here, trying to even the fight with the legionaries. Oh my gosh. Devastating volley from the Levy Freeman. Yeah, so far the engagements are quite good for Galatia. Be a counter charge here, the heavy horse into the Galatian legionaries and the slingers. That is going to deal some damage. That's going to give the Oathsworn a potential path to get in here. Again, another lead charge here, but the horsemen are kind of getting used up for the Arverni. There is one more unit in the back, and we still have a untouched Cappadocian cav and 2 noble horse here for Galatia. I feel like Arverni is struggling to get the value that they're going to need to win this at the moment. But we'll see how this turns out late into a battle. Let's see. So we got the Oathsworn General, another Oathsworn here. That Oathsworn's going to get hit by a noble horse. It was not braced, and then it's going to be countercharged also by a Galatian legionary. That's not a great start for that Oathsworn. They're a tough unit, though, so we'll see how that turns out. Not a unit that you can quickly or easily write off. This heavy horse gets buried in farther than it should, and it's now going to get snuffed out by Noble Horse and Levy Freeman. But the slingers are now doing some pretty serious work in this vicinity, getting some work done. These slingers are out of ammunition, or sorry, the Gallic Hunters are already out of ammunition. That's not ideal. Ooh, wow, a face full of javelins there. So those guys just went straight Leroy Jenkins into that Galatian legionary, and they will not live to tell the tale. Others may sing about them one day. Their bravery. Oof, this Oathsworn is getting smashed by the Noble Horse. And an Oathsworn is a very tough unit. It's got pretty good mass, good armor, solid defense, and for it to be taking this kind of damage just starts to show you how tough that Noble Horse is. The Arverni appear to be just overmatched in the cavalry department. And then is not just being overmatched in the cavalry department, I feel like that Galatia just had the better outcome in terms of the initial charges and stuff in the battle, and that also makes a huge difference in Rome 2 battles. Whether your unit gets, into the engagement the right way definitely has an impact on whether or not it's going to perform as intended. And I do believe, obviously, the Oathsworn for the Arverni were a severe threat to the Galatians. However, that said, the Oathsworn over here has not been combat effective, and it's now having to chase a slinger to stay alive. Now, see over here where the Oathsworn does get the engagement at once, it absolutely slaps this legionary, and I'm not surprised. That's what the Arverni do. And then if we take a look over here, I mean, their units are doing their best. They're trying to hang on, but they're getting hit by all that cavalry. They've still got to fight Galatian legionaries, but these chosen swordsmen are putting up a solid fight there, and there's still a few heavy horse, and now they're going to come charging towards the slingers. They are being pursued by the Noble Horse General of the Galatians. The Arverni are not in a great position, but they're not totally out of the fight yet either. The Galatians are starting to run low on infantry, but they do have some very dangerous cavalry roaming around, and this Oathsworn has really gotten trampled by that noble horse. Now, the noble horse paid a price for that right there. Look at that heavy horse getting in there and doing some damage to the slingers at the last second. It's a great way to use that. So we do have one healthy Oathsworn. There's a couple of chosen swords over here. So they're still holding on, though. That one's going to get... the horse skirmishers won't do a lot to that chosen sword. They'll get a couple of kills off of mass, probably. Yeah, actually, it's more than I thought, about 10. Here comes the Oathsworn, though, charging in, hurling their javelins indiscriminately into that fight. There's a healthy legionary out there, and another about half-strength one there. And then a few tattered chosen sword units. This is going to end up being a bit of a closer finish than I had thought a few moments ago. This Cappadocian cavalry, though, is about to make its presence felt. Rest in pepperonis, you sweet chosen swordsmen. They did not want to be chosen as the object of affection for those Cappadocian cavalry. The noble horse general is considerably weakened. The mercenary Cappadocian cav is fairly weak. There's still another mercenary Cappadocian cav out here. It's mopping up a Celtic slinger. So the numbers of slingers were not able to make their presence felt in the end. There are a few slingers left. This Levy Freeman's out in a position where it's not going to make it back to its own lines alive. The Arverni cannot chase down the Galatians at this point. The Galatians have the speed advantage. Didn't think this unit would make it back to its lines alive. Surely it won't. The Cappadocians are hesitant to charge it. I think they're concerned that it has javelins. So they're playing some cat and mouse here. It does have javelins. They get them off at the very last second into that weakened Cappadocian cavalry, which allows this one to come in unhit. We're getting some shield wall, rally, raise banner, so the Arverni are really working on getting their morale up and preparing, bracing for charges. And a couple of javelins tossed into that Cappadocian cavalry. Otherwise, it's going to have to flee back. Oof, those slingers still have ammunition. Every shot is going to count here for the Galatians. I don't know how much ammunition they have, but it could be the difference between winning and losing. That Oathsworn is going to be a very dangerous unit. The combination, though, of remaining slingers and cavalry, though, could certainly overcome it. In just a pure melee, though, the Galatian legionaries left would have a difficult time winning this in melee. Shield wall's being used for additional bracing. It's probably a good idea. The Galatians are searching for a vulnerable flank, though. Chosen Swordman kind of held that one up, and they are not getting completely brutalized in that charge. That's not good news for the Galatians. Though the morale situation could get dicey real quick here for the Arverni. These chosen swords don't hold out quite like an Oathsworn does. In fact, one of them just shattered and the other two are near it. Those rear charges make a big difference. And then there comes the javelin toss while the Oathsworn was busy. That's going to hurt. The Oathsworn are not going to be able to countercharge. And at this point, the Galatians just go all in. Now look at that, those two chosen swords solidified there. The shield wall helping to hold together their morale, I think. No, it doesn't impact morale. There comes a rally. It was just a hair too late to save the other chosen sword. So, the Oathsworn general fighting desperately to keep in the fight, and a nice move here by Galatia. Not even sitting in there and grinding it out against the Oathsworn, but pulling out and coming in for another charge and using all the tools at the disposal of the Galatians in order to win this fight. They need to get rid of that chosen swordsman. They're about to. And now the morale of the Oathsworn is starting to feel the pinch here. Go ahead and fast forward this. I don't think the Oathsworn can last it out yet. There's army losses probably taking effect. Yep. However, they stabilized right after that. They're going to use the slingers to distract, and then now they're going to collapse with the legionaries and the cavalry. There's a shield wall again for the Oathsworn. And if the Oathsworn start winning the combat, that will pick up their morale a little bit. And so throwing the slingers in is a good way to blunt their charge, but it's also a good way to get their morale up again. The Oathsworn is not likely to pull this off at this point unless something spectacularly disastrous happens for Galatia. But never say never. There it goes. Alright, so the Oathsworn does give. And ultimately, a pretty close battle there between the Arverni and Galatia. I still maintain that I think Arverni is probably a little bit better in melee than the Galatians. Maybe not ultimately. I mean, the Galatian Legionary is a pretty solid unit. However, it looks like the cavalry for Galatia is superior, and that makes a difference. And I almost feel like the Arverni have got to find a way to help deal with the cavalry for Galatia, because ultimately in this fight, Galatia's cavalry played a huge role in the victory. I mean, look at this, 207 kills, 184 kills, 162 kills. That is definitely a big role. Though, not to diminish, though, what the Galatian legionaries were able to accomplish, but you also saw that those legionaries were not sufficient to defeat the Oathsworn in any decent numbers. So it took that combined arms strategy in order to pull it off. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll see you all back soon with some more action in Total War Rome 2. Definitely appreciate Sol Invictus and Soil Ruslan here for sending us this replay. We'll see you all soon.